If you like having fun, and if you like adventure and trying new things, the Jamboree is the best place to do it.
Go hard! Go hard! Yeah! Fighting through the fear, the blood, the sweat, and the tears. Go hard! Go hard! Pushing through the pain, it's ours for the taking.
If you're deciding to come to the Jamboree, it's awesome.
You get to do stuff like this. It is such a great experience for anyone who wants to get outside and do stuff.
Everybody seems to come off smiling. Out there like, yeah, this is awesome.
If you're coming to Jamboree and you want high up in the air, fun, while testing yourself, go to the ropes course.
If you're going to come to the Jamboree, I recommend the skate park 100%.
If you have the opportunity to go to 2021 Jamboree, definitely go. It's the chance of a lifetime.
Go hard! Go hard! Yeah! Fighting through the fear, the blood, the sweat, and the tears. Go hard! Go hard! Pushing through the pain, it's ours for the taking. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Go hard! Yeah! Fighting through the fear, the blood, the sweat, and the tears. Go hard! Go hard! Pushing through the pain, it's ours for the taking. Here we go, here we go.
Chris, can you advance the slide? Well, good evening, everyone. We apparently are having some technical difficulties here. We were just coming to the end of the video. We'll see if we can get the presentation going here in just a second.
You should be good, David.
Great. Do you want me to drive?
Sure, let's.
Or you can just advance the slides if you have it. It looks like I can do it. All right. Sorry about that, everyone. A little extra challenge today. All right. So, wow. Welcome to our Jamboree webinar series. Tonight we're going to learn all about attending the 2023 National Jamboree with the Michigan Crossroads Council contingent. And tonight's a little special in that it's part of our youth webinar series. So we're going to hear about Jamborees from a youth perspective from Eagle Scout Douglas Tischler. Before we jump in, let's do a little housekeeping. I see a number of you have already seen the request to introduce yourself. We'd like to learn a little bit about who's with us tonight. Tell us about yourself. Give us your name, your troop, the city you come from, and whether you're youth or an adult. I put that in the chat there. And we also ask you to use that chat to ask questions as they come up throughout the presentation. You'll be on mute, but at the end of the presentation, we're going to go back over the questions that you've posted. And during the session, we will have some of our committee members answering your questions in real time. So feel free to ask as many questions as you have. All right, so as I mentioned, tonight is a youth webinar. We have a number of other webinars that we will do throughout the next several months. And some of those are focused at parents, so the parent webinar series. And we have others that are focused at leaders. So obviously the content will be slightly different in terms of what parents might want to know and what leaders need to know in order to answer their scouts questions and how to encourage them and enable them to participate. But tonight we're going to focus on the Jamboree experience and the experience that you as a scout can expect to have. We'll talk about the requirements for attending, how you attend the Jamboree, and some of the swag and different things that you'll get. And we'll also go over the costs associated with attending a Jamboree. So a quick introduction. My name's Mr. Tischler. I am an Eagle Scout. I have, I've attended the Jamboree first time as a Life Scout. And I was a little hesitant when I first went because I didn't know anybody, because you're typically going in a unit with kids from across your state. I was coming from Ohio and really only knew one other person in the troop. So a little hesitant, but then I ended up being elected into a leadership position. And that was really special. And I had a time in my life when I would really tell you that, that it was the most impactful thing that I did. So when my son decided to go to a Jamboree, I kind of re-engaged at that point. And I have been going to Jamborees ever since. So I'll do what I can to make your Jamboree experience equally as memorable. So let's talk a little bit about a snapshot of what a Jamboree is. Douglas is going to go into much more detail, but this is the BSA's flagship event. You're not going to find any other place where this many scouts get together in one place. So 20 to 30, I think we had close to 40,000 participants at the World Jamboree. They get together every 4 years, and they do so as a member of their local council contingent. So it's basically a collection of let's call it states coming together with troops from their state or their council. And you're going to have 10 days of high key adventure, entertainment, different innovation areas. You're going to have a great time socializing, and you're going to do all of this at a world-class facility called the Summit Bechtel Reserve that was built just for the scouts, just for this experience. The benefit of going with the Michigan contingent is that we have a little pre-trip plan for you. So prior to arriving at the Jamboree, we're going to have a 1 day of adventure of outdoor activities near the national park in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And then we'll hop back on the buses and head into the Jamboree. So this all is going to take place in July 17th through the 28th of 2023. So let's talk about how you attend. So as I mentioned, you are going to attend as part of a contingent unit. And that unit, whether that's a troop or a crew, will consist of 36 scouts that are formed by our committee. So you'll register, and then we'll assign you to one of our contingent units, and we will make up as many units as we have scouts available to fill. So not a problem there. Now, your unit will prepare together, they will travel together, and then they will stay together and camp together during the Jamboree activity. So you're gonna have an opportunity to get to know a whole bunch of new people just by being part of a contingent troop. Now, we will typically form those troops by geographic area. However, it's better to sign up early so that you can be put in a unit that's in your geographic area. Scouts that join later, we do our best to get them into a geographic area, but if the unit's already full, they may be part of a slightly different geographic area. So just kind of a hack on that one. Now, in order for a youth to attend, you need to be either in a Scout BSA unit or a Venture unit. And if you're in Scouts BSA, as of the start of the Jamboree, and the Jamboree starts on July 19th, so not the start of our trip or the pre-trip, but the day that Jamboree starts, you have to be a first-class Scout, and you have to be at least 12 years old. Now, during the Jamboree, you cannot be 18. So that's the end of Jamboree is July 28th. So your 18th birthday should not happen before that. Now, I put an asterisk next to that because of the COVID cancellation of the 2021 Jamboree, there are some discussions about whether to do a one-time extension. And so we might be able to open this up for Scouts to become participants even over 18. So if you want to participate and you know you're going to be over 18, let us know. Send us an email. And if anything opens up, we'll let you know. Now, if you're a Venture, you should be over the at least 14 years old and no older than 20 by the end of the Jamboree. Now, this is a pretty high level event, and you're going to see all the great things that are included in this, from the preparation to the pre-trip, the transportation, all the activities you're going to do at the Jamboree, all the swag you're going to get. And that is going to be an all-inclusive price. And so for $2,600, all of that will be part of your package. Now that's, something that you've got a little bit of time to start planning for, and there's going to be fundraising opportunities that will be available, as well as scholarship, need-based scholarship opportunities that will also be available. We really want to make sure that everybody that wants to go to the Jamboree has an opportunity to experience the Jamboree. We also will have a payment schedule for your parents to be aware of that kind of goes from now until about May of next year. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit high level about preparation. And when you sign up for the Jamboree, you will again be assigned to this to a contingent unit, and that will typically take place in the fall. And that unit will kind of be your focal point for getting information, for preparing you for the Jamboree. That unit will have the typical youth leadership opportunities in it, and you will meet on an occasional basis to ready yourself for the Jamboree and get to know the other people in your unit. In addition to that, we will have 2 contingent-wide training weekends where we'll bring all of the units together in September of this year and then May of next year to prepare you for setting up camp life, the different aspects of being ready for the Jamboree. So by the time you leave for the Jamboree, you'll be ready to go. One of these weekends is also where we typically will hand out and distribute all of their swag. So that's kind of the commitment that you'll have when you sign up for the Jamboree. So the other thing that I wanted to let you know is that we take care of your transportation, and as part of your package, we will send you off and back in luxury, in style. Typically, each unit is going to have a 53-person tour bus. You can see a picture of it in the background. These things have all the creature comforts, Wi-Fi and power and everything you need to enjoy. We'll put some snack packs on there, and make sure that you're well fed. And it's a lot of fun, but this is kind of where the energy begins, because the minute you step on that bus, the energy increases with anticipation. You get to know the other scouts, and there's typically a lot of fun that's happening on the bus as you're making your way down to the Jamboree, or down to the pre-trip in this case. A lot of fun there. And once we get down to the pre-trip, which I mentioned was the Great Smoky Mountain area, we will be spending time just outside the national park in the Gatlinburg, Tennessee area. It's 1 day of adventure, and it usually includes whitewater rafting, a canopy tour, climbing, NASCAR, go-karts, baseball and barbecue. Some units explore the national park or even the Gatlinburg area. But the scouts that sign up early, when we start this planning, will be engaged in determining what activities the pre-trip will include. But generally speaking, we like to get the scouts as much of the high demand activities at the Jamboree, and we can do that in this pre-trip, like the whitewater rafting you see in the background. To give you a visual of what we're talking about, this is kind of the map of where our pre-trip will be in. On the left-hand side, we're coming down from Michigan, and we will be exploring this vast area. The green area is the national park. This is a outdoor adventure mecca, so there's tons of stuff to do. We'll do that, and then we'll head off to the Jamboree, which is on the right-hand side. So for the Jamboree experience, I'm going to let Douglas jump into what you can expect while you're at the Jamboree. So Douglas, would you take a moment to introduce yourself? You got to come off mute. There should be a bar there with mute. Well, let's see.
Hello?
There you go. You're good.
Awesome. Sorry, I had to change my mic settings. So yeah, my name is Douglas. I'm a senior at Columbia College Chicago. I'm an Eagle Scout from Troop 777 Northville in Michigan. And I have been to Jamboree, or I've attended Jamboree twice, once when I was 13, and then a second time when I was 17. And then when I was 10 also, I visited the Jamboree earlier than that. And then besides that, with my Boy Scout troop, I also did all the Hyatt adventures. So let's see, I did Philmont, Sea Base, and as well as Northern Tier. And then I also went to Alaska. So I've done a lot with the Boy Scouts according to that. And then, yeah, so I'll definitely start talking about the structure, troop structure of what the Jamboree is about. You can go to the next slide. Yep, so the troop structure at Jamboree is pretty typical as a normal troop, just like your troop is now right now. Sorry. There are patrol leaders, senior patrol leaders, and then the senior patrol leader, assistant senior patrol leader, quartermaster, chaplain, and then media managers. There's going to be 4 adult leaders that go with you during the trip, and then 4 youth leaders. And then there's going to be 4 patrols within the whole unit. So each patrol is going to have their own quartermaster and chaplains as well, just because there is some separation between patrols do go out and do their own thing. But there are certain times when the whole troop works together as one. I would say if you're going with your troop, there will be some people you don't know in your troop, in your patrol from different troops that might combine together. So you will get to know people that are in Michigan troops as well. So we can go to the next slide. So camp life. So camp life, you're going to spend about 10 days at your camp. There are specific camp sections at Jamboree, places where people put up their tents. So tents are going to be in rows of 2, and then you're going to have an area where you're cooking and sitting and eating and stuff like that. And then I know in the past we've done decorations for our camp. So we do things like lights, special lights, Christmas lights, stuff like that, just to make kind of spice up the area that you're sleeping in. And there's most likely going to be other units around you, so you may get to know other people. They're not specifically from your state, so there might be people from Florida right next to you that you can talk to, stuff like that. So basically, you would come in and out of this camp every day. You would sleep here, and then when you want to go do your activities, you would leave camp to go figure out what you want to do. See what else. So eating on camp, a lot of it is, so basically the quartermaster would go and pick up the food that you would eat at the camp. So you would have special meals that you would bring in and out. There's a place you go pick up the food. And there's not a lot of cooking involved. Most of it is most of it's done for you already. So it's kind of just someone's assigned to kind of put it together. And a lot of it is also takeaway. So like breakfasts and lunches are meant to be eaten on the road. You don't have to sit there and eat while wasting precious time while you could be doing fun activities. So dinner, sometimes I would say there was times where we would have to kind of sit there and wait for the food to like finish. So it wasn't really on the road, but there are also options to eat food outside of the camp. So I know there were a lot of places where you get like pizza or hot dogs within the camp as well. And then basically kind of going back to like the camp life thing, you would have like a tent mate that you would sleep in. So there's 2 people per tent. And that kind of is the person that you would go around camp with. If you had you could kind of plan their activities with them, and you can kind of go around using the buddy system, traveling around the camp, doing stuff like that. And then there's also showers as well in each camp. So there basically you can take showers to keep yourself clean. It does get pretty dusty there. So I would recommend that as well. Let's see, and then you can go to the next slide. Cool. So this is an example of a daily schedule. If you notice, the white area is basically just free time. So there are specific times you're required to be with your troops. So like when you get there, there's a lot of kind of like going around the rules and stuff like that, and setting up your tent, setting up camp. So the first day is going to be a lot of work, I would say, but after that, you're basically free to do whatever you want. Kind of go. I know there's like stadium events that that our troop would want you to go to as a whole. And then besides that, though, you can kind of create your own schedule. In advance, you'll get times for like when activities are, so you can kind of structure that before and kind of lay out your schedule for the day before, stuff like that. So, and then some important places. So as I was talking about before, there's the campsite. You can kind of see like the rows of tents there. That's what your camp will look like. There's a grocery store. That's where the quartermaster gets food, stuff like that. And then there's the picture of the bathhouse. They're actually surprisingly clean. They're not too bad at all. It's kind of like a concrete floor with like there's shower curtains and stuff like that. So it's not like an open like gym type thing. And then there's the Council Energy Bridge. So I remember when I went, we stayed on the other side of the bridge. So every morning we'd have to cross the bridge. It's kind of an exciting thing to do. You kind of it's a very long bridge, and it's kind of interesting in the way it's constructed with its architecture. And there's a little area you can go under and do some patch trading. If you kind of see under that, you can kind of go up above and up under the bridge. And then there's the trading post. This is kind of like a huge target for Boy Scouts. You can go in there and like there's gear, stuff like that. There's camping stuff. There's all sorts of stuff you can buy, like cool gadgets, solar panels, just kind of stuff that you need while you are camping. And then the AT&T Stadium is basically where all the events happen. So there's like an opening event, closing event, and then there's a couple of parties that happen in the middle of the week. And then the Bows is basically just an area up. I think it's a bit of a hike to get there, but that's kind of where you shoot bows, and there's also shotguns pretty close to that area as well. And then the rocks is just like rock climbing, stuff like that. So move to the next slide. And this is just a map showing what it looks like. That little orange arrow right there is usually where we stay. We had stayed in the past. That's Camp B. So all that little kind of beige area, that's all camping. So there's campsites all in this area, tons of people. So anytime you're walking around on these roads, you're going to be walking. There's no empty roads. There's going to be people on every road going, leaving and coming, going places. And then those orange little squares are kind of the like main event areas. So that you can see like there's bows, shotgun shooting, ropes, stuff like that all around. So it's a bit of a walk, but I mean, part of the camp is the walks. You kind of go around and there's always things to see on the side of the road, people to bump into. And when you're traveling with a group of friends, it is very fun. So we can go to the next slide. Oh, so yeah, activities. So as I was saying before, there's a lot of activities just outside of like merit badges and stuff like that. There's a lot of things to do that you may have never done before. Some of those things may be like whitewater rafting or scuba diving, or maybe you haven't shot shotguns before. Maybe you haven't done mountain biking or something like that. So there's basically something for everybody. You won't, yeah. So yeah, there's another list of activities: zip lining, high ropes, BMX, shooting, rock climbing, paddleboarding, Spartan Challenge, ATV, skateboarding, stuff like that. I remember personally, my first year I enjoyed skateboarding a lot. I had a skateboard, but I really wasn't good at it. I'd never been to a park before. And then the park they had there was designed, I think it was designed by Tony Hawk, and it was like a very top of the line skate park. And it was nice because they taught me a lot of things on how to like skate and stuff like that. Like I learned how to drop in. I never knew how to drop in a skateboard. So I spent a lot of time there my first year, which I enjoyed a lot. And then I know a lot of people like the BMX. I heard that was a really popular one. I tried it my second year, and it was pretty fun. I've never done that before either. So. Yep. And then, so camp parties, basically the stadium shows where there are usually like celebrities and stuff like that show up. Everyone in the camp basically just kind of crowds into this area and they just throw a big party. Like there's nice, like the sound system's nice. So you hear lots of like the bass you'll feel, and the lights are really high quality. I know one year there may have been like a drone show. So it's basically just like a huge concert, and you kind of you can mix and mingle with people around you and just have a good time. And then I know as well, the US president is invited to speak on a certain day. And then besides that, there's also base camp bashes, which is kind of the similar thing to stadium shows, but they're specific to base camps. So I think there's like 5 base camps, and they would go around and kind of do fun stuff for them. Yep. And then so friends and exchanging meals. So something we've done in the past is we've done half of our troop stays and half of our troop goes to a guest troop site to share dinner. So basically just so we could kind of get out and mingle with people. It's not something we require, but we would go out with half of our troop that wanted to go and eat dinner with a troop that's across the street or in a different base camp. And spend that time there kind of meeting friends and possibly like saying, oh, tomorrow let's go do this, let's go do rock climbing. But it's just a good way to get out and meet new people and learn new traditions. And then there's also Hometown Day, which is like a small celebration about your hometown. So I know in the past we've done like a lighthouse thing, just because I know Michigan has a lot of lighthouses, but you basically decorate your campsite and have like special giveaways and kind of stuff like that. And everyone around you will do the same things. You kind of walk around, meet people, and kind of learn a little bit about where they're from. And then on top of that, as I was saying before, there's plenty of opportunity to meet new friends, whether it be inside of your troop, like someone that you have never met that's from a place in Michigan you've never heard of, or someone across the street that's from North Carolina, and you basically have the freedom to go and do whatever you want, just because there's no scheduling within the events. You can kind of go and do the events at any time. There's no time schedule, and it doesn't cost anything extra. Yeah. So yeah, trading. So my second year I went, I was really big into trading. Basically, patches are like kind of like the currency of Boy Scouts in some way. There's the big thing is each contingency has a patch set. So there's like a Michigan patch set. There's the patch set from New York or something like that, which are Jambo specific. So they have the Jambo name on them. Those are the kind of like the high items, just because you want to get, they exist and you want to get the specific one that's out there. But you also have the chance to bring patches that aren't Jambo specific, that are from maybe your local summer camp, or from a trading post in your city that you've bought. You can kind of trade those if you're really into like the way of doing deals and stuff like that. You can kind of convince someone that this patch is rare and kind of build up from there. I remember I got one year a neckerchief from Indonesia. I traded a couple patches for it, and I met the guy, and it was really cool. It was a really fun interaction. But basically, patch trading can be done anywhere. People just set up a blanket on the side of the road, or in their base camp, or there's specific areas that are huge for patch trading, and they just kind of sit there. And if you walk past and say, "Hey, I like that patch," you can kind of strike a deal with them if you want. But yeah. We can go to the next. So technology. So your phone is one of the most important things at Jambo, just because there's an app that kind of has maps on it, waiting times, weather alerts, and then general Jambo info. Especially since the camp is so huge, if you I know a lot of people like to do group chats. So if your senior patrol leader is looking for you, he can send a little text to you, and it's the easiest way to find out where people are. Or if you want to organize like a group to go somewhere, you can organize through there. But your phone is really important. So we suggest that you bring like an extra backup battery for your phone, or a solar panel. I know there's charging stations around, but you really don't want to waste your time sitting there charging your phone while you could be doing fun activities. And then there's also these towers in the base camps that set off kind of like alarms if there's a weather alert. So I remember one year there was like a thunderstorm, and the towers kind of like sent out this announcement that you can hear anywhere that say, "Oh, stuff is closed. You gotta go find shelter," and stuff like that. So there is kind of like a safety aspect to it as well. Then we get the next slide. Yep. So the swag is basically the stuff that everyone gets from our contingency. So we all get the same bag, the Class B shirt, duffel and backpack, tags, and the patch set. The patch set I was talking about before for each contingency is right there. It's the Motor City patch set was what we had a couple of years ago. And I know like other places like so that one is car related, Motor City, Detroit, stuff like that. But like Florida will do like a fish set. I've seen like a skateboard set from California and stuff like that. So basically everyone gets their own patch set based on which contingency and troop they're in. So those kind of referring back to the trading as well. But yeah, basically you can trade some of this stuff too. Like I remember trading my hat as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it with that. We can go to the next slide. And then personal gear. So this is kind of just like a packing list of what you should bring. There will be a more in-depth packing list when you actually sign up with like what kind of like how many t-shirts, how many pants do you need, stuff like that, like water bottles, stuff like that. We'll also suggest that you bring, like as we said before, phone batteries, things to trade, layers, because it could rain on certain days, it could not rain. I remember when I went, it was very hot, so maybe you want some cutoffs or something like that, and then special gear to lock your stuff. So like maybe you want to lock your tent or something like that because you're not going to be there during the day. Pillows, camp lights, or any type of extra charging cords. There's also that store, as we said before, so if you do forget anything, you can go back and get it there. And then as well as like stuff from your actual patrol. So if you have like a patrol flag or like specific things that you're troop likes to do for fun that you can bring. Those are also suggested as well. But yeah, and also another suggestion is to put your name on everything that you bring, just because there's a lot of people and everyone's got very similar things, so it's easier to lose stuff. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I just want to stress right now that like I enjoyed Jamboree a lot. It was probably my favorite high adventure. I loved it so much that I went twice. So this kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like. So I hope you kind of consider going if you have the chance.
Great. Thanks, Douglas. I appreciate you sharing with us your perspective on Jamboree. And you know, it's hard to put it in words in such a short period of time, but obviously it's something that you have remembered and you decided to go back multiple times on. So that's great. Thanks for sharing with us. So kind of come back and wrapped us up in terms of how you go and how you register and all of that. So just a reminder, this is an all-inclusive package. You're going to bring your personal gear that Douglas went through. Most, if not all, of the troop gear is going to be provided, but you're also going to have this entire Jamboree experience wrapped up with one price tag. And so we cover the Jamboree fee as part of this. There are the 2 weekend training sessions that we will do. The stuff or the swag that you saw is included in the package. The transportation is covered, all the meals to and from, all the meals while you're at the Jamboree, and any lodging that we might need to do during our pre-trip is included. So that's the kind of the all-inclusive package, and it's a pretty good deal for everything that you're going to get. It's just all tons of stuff packed in there. What you're going to want to remember is, you'll need to have a Jamboree uniform. You can take and modify your current troop uniform for that, but we will be issuing troop numbers and some contingent patches that you can put on your Class A uniform. We typically say bring 2. One really should be built out as a Jamboree. The other one can be a home unit. In addition to that, there are things that are discretionary that you can purchase along the way. We talked about the trading post. There's additional places where you can buy food around camp as well. So different things like that you might bring some spending money. And your unit, we'll talk about kind of what the recommendations there are on that. You might also look at either purchasing or sharing or borrowing a solar charger so that you can have a means to charge up your backup battery and then be able to use that throughout the day, throughout the camp for recharging the phone as needed. There is a payment schedule I mentioned earlier that that we've built out that takes us from now until March 31st when the final payment is due. So when scouts register, they will make a $350 non-refundable deposit. And then there are progress payments from now until March. If you register after the second payment, then typically you would be asked for 2 payments at that time, but we can work with you on that if need be. So the next steps are registration, and registration starts by going to the Michigan Crossroads Council website, which we're going to show you here in a second, but it's just the michiganscouting.org. Under the activities menu, you'll see Jamboree, and you can register there. When the National Jamboree opens up their site, then we will also instruct you how to just register with the National Jamboree. But all of your details and your payments and everything will be made through the Michigan Crossroads Council. The second thing then will happen more closely to the end of the year, towards the fall timeframe, when we have our unit assignments take place. And so again, we'll be looking at the scouts that have registered and paid their deposits and where they're from. And then we will start determining how many units we will take throughout the state of Michigan, and then start assigning scouts to those. Remember, there's 36 youth in each of the units. So we'll fill the scouts based on that into geographic areas. Some other key dates to be aware of. So between now and September is when scouts will be signing up, and we're doing unit presentations. We'll be at a number of different typically council events that you may see if you're going to a Klondike or a Jamboree or a Merit Badge Mania or an OA event. There may be some Jamboree promotions tables there. Stop by, even if you registered, stop by and say, hey, I registered. And sometimes we have a little extra swag for you to wear around that event to let people know that you have already joined Jamboree. If you haven't joined yet, it's a good opportunity to come and meet some additional people. A lot of times we will have scouts that have already signed up at those promotion tables, so you can start meeting both scouts and youth. So again, as I mentioned, the fall September timeframe is when we'll start the process of assigning scouts. Now, what I'll mention on that is that we will fill those units based on the people that have registered to date. And then once those units hit 36, and if you register after that period of time, we'll do our best to get you into a unit with your friends or in your geographic area. But after September, it becomes more and more difficult to do that, because those units, 36 people have already been told they're in a unit, and to move people around at that point isn't necessarily always fair. So just something to keep in mind. Signing up early has a couple of different benefits. And then, as I mentioned, we will have these 2 training weekends. The first one, you can mark these on your calendar, is September 30th. And that will be our first team building event at Camp Tetonka. And that is, I think, outside of Jackson area. And then the second one would be in May 19th, and that is in the same location. So those, you'll get more information about that when you get assigned to a unit, and then they will be preparing you for that event and letting you know what needs to take place and so forth there. Okay, so those are some of the key dates. This stuff is also available on our calendar. So if you need to know where the Jamboree website is, you can take a shot of this QR code, and it will take you to our registration page, and you can sign up there. So at this point, we've got about 15 minutes left in the webinar. I thank you guys for participating today, and thank you for sharing your questions in the chat. So at this point, I'm going to ask Patrick Berryman from our Jamboree committee to come online and maybe share with us some of the questions that we might all want to know the answers to.
Excellent, David. Thank you very much. We've had a lot of great questions, and I'm going to scroll from the top and just go through and let's see if we hit the major questions that we had out there. Let's see. Allow me just to scroll down. One question. I thought this was very intriguing. One of our attendees asked, "Is it better to go with a troop or a crew if you're dual registered?" Boy, that's a great question. You do the same activities, which is great. The way I would look at it is I put it inside the chat. Where are your friends? You have more friends that are going with you in the crew, or will you have more friends joining you that were in the troop? That's kind of where I'd look at. There's lots of other things that you could use that would really be subjective, something that would be important to you. But overall, the the experience is really the same. The Ventures will be camping together in their co-ed fashion. That's what venturing does. If there are members of troops, remember we have boy troops and girl troops, and they will be adjacent to each other, and you'll be working. But as far as the activities, all the activities that were presented here by Douglas are the same, whether you're a venturer or you're a scout. So a good question. Tough to make a decision there. Let's go
But
on.
I will add that once you make a decision, as long as we, don't get too far past the fall, you can always change your mind if your friends start joining a troop and you decided to go as the crew. So we'll work with you on that.
Yeah, definitely. If it would be best, it would be easier to move you from a troop to the crew. Moving from the crew back to the troop gets difficult because the troops will be full. Great question. Also came in. Just a little more edification on the pre-trip. The pre-trip is the day before. So David had it absolutely correct. We all get on the bus on the 17th of July. On the 18th of July, we're down in the Gatlinburg area. We're doing whitewater rafting and all those excellent outdoor activities. Then on the 19th, we drive from Gatlinburg to the summit. And from the 19th to the 28th, we are at the Jamboree, and we return back to Michigan the evening or late afternoon, early evening of the 28th. That's our calendar, but real good one. Yes, we're following youth protection protocols for boys and girls. Note, and this was something I thought was intriguing. Many of the pictures that we had were 2019 World Scout Jamboree. Jamborees, or excuse me, Boy Scouts internationally are co-ed. They are mixes right in the same troops, same units, boys, girls. Had absolutely no issues at the World Jamboree in 2019. We had U.S. troops, boy troops and girl troops interspersed with the International Scouts. Youth protection protocols were fully followed, no issues whatsoever. Great question. Just want to make sure everybody understands everybody is safe. Let me scroll on down here. This is a really good one also. Boy, this is ages of scouts. Golly, at one time, and I put this in the chat, I would say the average age of scouts going to jamborees was about 14. That has been trending downward because we've been accepting younger scouts. Key thing here is this is a parental call. So the parents really got to look at and know their scout and say, okay, can you be away from mom and dad for that 10 days? We're going from the 17th to the 28th. So now we're talking about, 11 days, 12 days. Key to that, make sure that they have at least one long-term summer camp experience to really test that. So this is a parental scout decision. Some scouts, it would not be the right thing to do. Other scouts would be very, very comfortable in that environment. I know that my son, the first time he attended a jamboree, he was 14. He came back when he was 17, so he got 2 in there. Those were the right times for him, but each individual is different, and that's absolutely a parental and scout call.
A couple of notes, Patrick,
please.
a couple of notes on that.
Yes.
One, an interesting excerpt from our parent testimonials that we have in our parent series is, the mentioning the change they saw in their scout when they came back from a jamboree in terms of the confidence, the independence, and so forth. Even though your scout may be on the younger side, there's going to be plenty of people there to look out for the scout. They're going to have plenty of friends as well that they'll develop. But the other thing I wanted to mention is that if you're kind of on the fence with this, there are family days. You can come down as a family and visit the jamboree. You won't be able to go into the camp areas where the scouts live, and some of the program areas are restricted as well. But there's tons of areas, and I know that was a highlight sometimes for some of our younger scouts when their parents or their family would be coming down and they would get to spend the day with them. I think the day was enough, and then they were like ready to go and recharge and be on their own again. So just some things to think about.
Excellent. There's also one other great question here is, can parents participate? And the answer is there are 3 ways for parents to participate in the Jamboree. And David hit the first one, a visitor. You make reservations to attend the Scout Jamboree. You actually register at the national website. You can pick the appropriate days that work out for you and your schedule. You go to the Jamboree area. You are bused into the Summit Center. You are allowed all the activities in the Summit Center. Your scouts come from their campsites into the Summit Center. You actually get a great feel, and I'll call it, the Summit Center is like a microcosm of the total Jamboree. So you really feel that, and you understand that what a Jamboree entails. That's first, and that's the easiest. There's also another really absolutely critical way that a parent or leader can attend a Jamboree, and that's a member of the staff. Jamborees always need staff. That's what makes this an event. That's a world-class event for the youth. We need staff in every one of those activities that you saw. We need staff for the medical areas. We need staff for the commissioner areas. Plain and simple, we need staff. If you are a parent and you have that time, one of the best ways you can go out there and make this a success for all scouting is to join the staff. There is one last area that's a possible, okay, and I will emphasize possible. It's a Jamboree leader with the youth contingent. Well, let me tell you about right now what I have, and David is very familiar with this. We have a committee. This committee for the Michigan Crossroads Council is a cross-functional committee. It is made up of 28 individuals at this time, and each of those individuals has raised their hand and they said, I want to be a Jamboree leader, which is wonderful. Also note that at this time, we don't know how many troops we'll have, so therefore we don't know how many leaders we will need. I can tell you, if I draw my line and extrapolate a graph out there and say, what do I think? I think I'm probably going to need 12-ish leaders. I've got almost 30 people who have raised their hands to say, I want to go, and I am horrendously qualified. So I have more than enough volunteers to meet that need. In fact, I won't be able to take all of the great people that have volunteered with us. I just don't have the capability. A troop is 40 individuals, 36 youth, 4 adult leaders. That's what I'm dealing with. Now, one of those adult leaders of the 4 is reserved for an 18, 20, or 21-year-old individual. They're the bridge, if you will, from the older adults and the troop members, okay? So that's what that functions. So that leaves me really, I'll call it 3 older adults per troop. That's my constraint. And I just want to be honest with you. So I look at it and say, yeah, there's a possibility. It's not a great possibility. I would say the better way to serve right now would be to be a member of the staff. If you are indeed interested in pursuing or looking at a potential, what I'll say, adult leadership activity or role, send me a note at jamboreechair@michiganscouting.org, and I'll put that in the chat. Like I said, just note that I've got a lot of people who want to go. Each individual that's on the committee are going to be really working together to recruit youth, to form the troops, and deliver a world-class experience for each and every youth that we have. At the end of the day, we'll see how many people will be able to accommodate. All right. Those were the questions that I see. And what I want to do is give everybody a chance to put any last second questions into the chat so we can address the questions. This is your time. I do want to make a big plug. We host these webinars the first 3 Sundays of every month. Between David, myself, and the youth and other leaders, we do them the first, the second, and third. The first is a parental, the second is a youth, and third is a leader. We have 3 different presentations only because the audience is slightly different. So we take the information that we actually customize or focus for those individual groups. The overall message is the same, but nevertheless wanted to tell you that. Please, if you know of other individuals that would like some more information, have them sign up for a webinar or send me a note. And that's what I have got. David, any other points you want to make?
No, I think it's a good time to start wrapping it up. And with everything that we've learned tonight about the National Jamboree, it is not possible to cover all of it. So there's much, much more. If you're an adult on the call tonight and you happen to have gone to a Jamboree when you were a youth like I did, it's nothing like that. It is way, way, way better. It is truly a once in a lifetime event that you cannot do anywhere else in scouting at a facility that is unique in the entire world. And it's something you got to see. And it's a totally different experience than going down there for summer camp, going down there, meaning going down to the summit, Bechtel Reserve for summer camp or for a high adventure event. This is all of that wrapped up with the Jamboree experience around it. And it is definitely something that you don't want to miss. That being said, I'm sure you have more questions and or some will come to you. I encourage everyone to either scan the QR code or go out to the URL to our website. And there you can sign up for our Jamboree newsletter. So as more information is available, we push that out. And you can also submit a question there if some additional questions come to mind. We'll be posting our frequently asked questions on the website here soon. Reminder, but this is also where you go to register, and registration is open, and we have got a number of scouts that have already started signing up. So now is a good time to do that as well. So with that, I want to thank our panelists tonight, Douglas Tischler for joining us from Chicago. And Patrick, are you in Michigan or Ohio today? Either way?
Yeah, either way. I'm in Ohio right now, but either one.
And we are looking forward to seeing all of you that are on tonight's webinar as part of our 2023 Michigan Crossroads Council contingent Jamboree trip. It's going to be a blast, and I'm looking forward to meeting all of you and making new memories. So with that, good night to everyone. And if I see you soon, I hope to see you on the trip. Thanks, everyone.